Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation, where today I want to talk to you about a brand new masterclass that we're going to be having that's going to be starting very soon. In fact, this is on a new topic here. Excuse me, let me put up the volume a little bit. If you're new to our masterclasses, these are something that we present roughly every couple of years, where we take a specific topic or category related to trading, and then we really take a deep dive into it so that we can really turn it around upside down and really go into detail and explaining new innovative ways in which to apply that category. And I'm happy to say that this specific masterclass that we're going to be starting shortly is on a topic that a lot of students have been asking us to cover, and that is advanced scanning. So that's what's going to be the new category for the masterclass this year, which will be starting very shortly. Now, I venture to say that most traders have used some type of scanning platform or some type of free service to scan, and you have certain advantages, but there come a lot of disadvantages with them because they're based on a lot of traditional wisdom and conventional methods that really don't work that well. For example, let's look at this chart here in Apple. Now, one of the most common edges to scan for is either a new closing low or a new closing high. Now, conventional wisdom tells us that when a stock or a market or an ETF or some type of market makes a new high, that's very positive. So that means that you either want to buy there or you're looking to buy. But for all intents and purposes, it's something that you should be involved in with a buyer's mindset because that's very positive news, okay? So as we see, the stock made a brand new high. You could have scanned for that. Let's say you jumped in and then right off the bat, you're losing money. You're losing money within the very next few weeks. And you're saying to yourself, well, I thought this scan was supposed to help me. I thought it was supposed to give me an edge. Well, we're going to introduce you to an entirely different concept, an entirely different way to scan in our new masterclass. And this was what we feel will really take your scanning to the next level, because we feel scanning has a two-part process. You see, as we look at this chart here in Costco, now, sure, most likely if you scan for a new closing high, you'd find something around these levels here. But wouldn't you have liked to gotten in much lower? Well, the first scanning process we're going to be talking about would have actually identified a strong uptrend right here with a specific scan. So once you knew that the market wanted to trend higher, then you could go into the second phase, which would be to apply some type of strategy or method. And you could have done that by getting long here, and then eventually long here, and then even here. So this is what we're going to be going into really full detail and cover a lot of aspects in our new advanced scanning masterclass, which we'll be getting very shortly in the next few weeks. So welcome. Once again, my name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 46 years. I started trading on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. So this is where we get the name Specialist Trading. I know a lot of traders aren't familiar with what specialists are these days because most of trading has gone the way of electronic trading. But in the old days, if you ever Google those pictures of the old trading floors with the guys making weird hand signals and they're standing in a bucket of paper trades and they're behind these large wooden podiums, those were specialists. Those were floor traders. That's what I used to do. I did that for 9 years. I made markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks like IBM, US Air, Waste Management. And so if you wanted to buy or sell any one of those particular issues I traded, you had to go up to the trader who specialized in making a market. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. So I traded through the crash of '87. I made markets during that crash. I traded through the bull market that followed. And I've seen just about every technique, every process, every method you can think of. So I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't work. So that's why we formulated Specialist Trading. I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies, and we put together Specialist Trading, where all we do is just simply teach traders all the high-level things that have high levels of consistency so that you can ultimately take your trading up into another level. So that's what we're going to be talking about, especially in our masterclass, which will be coming up shortly. Now, before we begin, as always, we're required by law to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results by using our advanced scanning process, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, another way to get more education on a daily basis is to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. Every day I post different signals that our strategies have generated, different methods and techniques and edges. I also post little bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free educational information on a daily basis. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, remember, our whole goal is to educate you. We're not the type of website or company where we dish out nightly signals and tell you what to buy or sell. We don't tell you what we think the market's going to do. We don't believe in that. Our entire process, what we really want to do is have you understand what that information is so that you can ultimately make your own trading decisions. And that's what we'll cover in the masterclass as well. So my goal is not to force feed you signals, but to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. Now, when I first started trading some 46 years ago, I've made no qualms about this. I really struggled tremendously. In fact, I didn't know how much longer I was going to be trading on the floor. I just couldn't make ends meet. Every month I'd have a good month, and then I'd give it away the next couple of months later, and I was just basically trading water. It wasn't until I was able to come in contact with my mentors, these were specialists themselves, who changed my way of trading and my way of thinking. And basically, they've taught me all the same things that I teach my students around the world. Now, everything they taught me has sustained me now for 46 years. So hopefully what I'll be able to teach my students around the world are the same things to sustain them, hopefully for that amount of time, okay? Now, I'm going to go into detail about what is actually included in this course and what you'll be getting and some of the curriculum. But before we begin, remember, this is an educational class. So if you have any questions, please be sure to ask me any and all questions, but kindly wait till the end. I like to take the questions at the end of the presentation so as not to break it up. The only question I will answer is the most common one, and that is this being recorded? Yes, it is. We record all of our webinars. So if you have to leave early or if you're having technical issues, you will all receive a link to this recording. You can watch it whenever you'd like. Okay, so that firstly. Secondly, I'm trying to remember. The first one was the recording. The second was the questions. I already went over that, okay? So now that we have those two things out of the way, let's begin today's educational presentation. All right, so I know most of you have applied some type of a scanning process before, okay? But for those few of you, we have a pretty big sized crowd here today. For those few of you who have never used or applied a scanner, and you're not really familiar with them, let's just give you the standard definition of a scanner. A scanner is a program or a service that filters the markets to find stocks that meet a specific set of criteria. A stock scanner is an essential tool for most traders. That's why I say most traders, excuse me, have used a stock scanner in the past, and it is an essential tool because this tool comes with many advantages. Let's talk about some of the advantages of applying a scanner. Firstly, it saves you time. I can't tell you how long I had to look at stocks some 4 decades ago through hundreds, if not thousands of stocks on a weekly basis to try and find a specific edge or a specific criteria that needed to be met. Now I can do the exact same thing through hundreds or even thousands of stocks in a matter of minutes by applying a scanner. So that's one of the great advantages of this. It saves you time. Secondly, it identifies specific market conditions. Remember, we're talking about this two-part process where we want to identify these conditions to see if the market is in sync with what the particular edge we're looking for. So we have a set of criteria that we're looking for, and it will identify this market environment. Once we know the market environment, it identifies now trading opportunities. Let's say we apply some type of an edge, some type of a plan, or some type of a method to look for that will identify these specific high probability places to enter or exit a specific trade. It also provides data for research. We know we have a lot of students that like to tinker under the hood. They like to make their own strategies. They like to experiment or find out, if some idea they have works or doesn't work. So this is great. You can research this by applying this particular set of criteria into the scanning process and then see if the edge appears over and over again. But there are also many disadvantages that come to applying a scanner and with the conventional way of using a scanner. For example, difficulty in formatting. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. I have used probably every platform you can think of, any major or even minor unused or very not well-known platform out there on the market today, I've most likely used. And I've applied a scanning process that they have on the platform. And some of them are okay, but the majority of them are extremely difficult to format. Basically, very complicated, and they're just, you can't find the right edges. They're just hard to even find out where the scanning process is on the platform. So there's a difficulty in formatting that. Secondly, the platform can be limited to the amount of components or information you're looking to scan. All right, let's say you're looking for, once again, the new high, new low, and obviously most scanners have that. But let's say you're looking for a particular edge, maybe that's something that you found or discovered, or maybe something that's brand new on the market, and the particular platform you're using doesn't offer that edge. So what use is the scanner if you can't scan for what criteria you are interested in finding? Next, scannings can often lead to overcomplicated trading. We call this many times analysis paralysis. It will give you far too much information, and you wind up being more confused than you were before you actually started the scanning process. So you start out hoping to find answers, and at the end, you're even more confused, which ultimately fails to provide traders with answers, okay? A lot of traders think that a scanning process will scan and spit out all these high probability areas and high probability edges, and many times it won't provide you with anything. And you think, well, what's the point of this, okay? So there are advantages to scanning, but there are also a lot of disadvantages. And these are just a few of the things that our students have told us and that we're going to be covering and hopefully remedying in the masterclass. Now, let's take a very common edge that most traders have been taught traditional wisdom to scan for, and this is a new closing high. We talked about it in the beginning. Now, it's been taught conventional wisdom that if you have a stock, any type of market that makes a new closing high, that's very positive because it's basically gone through the old higher resistance, and now it's a new unmanned territory. So it's basically, its own animal now. It can do whatever it wants. So this is very positive, but does it really work? For example, we look back at that chart of Apple. Here's the old closing high, all right, with the red dashed line here. And you could have scanned these last 2 days here where we had a brand new high. Very positive, right? Most investors or traders would look at this as this is something you got to go long. This is a very good sign for the stock. Let's say you're new to scanning, you see this and you say, hey, okay, this is a good, very good edge here to have. So you jump in and buy, and then we all know what happened here, right? It didn't go any further. In fact, you're losing money now had you bought either on this day or the previous day. So there's really no edge here. I know conventionally it's supposed to be positive, but really, it really isn't. So what is the real purpose of scanning then? Well, the real purpose is a two-part process, okay? The real purpose of scanning lies in a two-part process. So here's the first part that we're going to be going into detail, and this is what we talk about advanced scanning. Firstly, you need to identify what the market wants to do. Because think of it, what good is looking for an edge or some conventional criteria that's supposed to be positive if the market is not in cooperation with that? If you're out of sync with the market, it doesn't matter. If you have, imagine you're on the ocean, you have this high-class sailboat, it's this state-of-the-art, it's fantastic. But if you're going against the strong currents within the ocean, there's no way you're going to get anywhere, okay? It's going to be so difficult. You need to have both things in sync. So that's why we need to know what the market wants to do. It's like the ocean or like a river. We need to find out what that environment is like. And then secondly, once we found out, then we need to identify structure or a trading method that you can apply to that market. So we need to find some type of method or strategy that fits in with what the market wants to do. And preferably, we want one scan that will find both of these things right for us, okay? So this is why there is a fault in most scanning processes, because they don't cover this. They basically say, well, here's the edge you were looking for, so it should work, right? And that's why a lot of times it doesn't. We need to take our scanning to the next level, and that's what we'll be doing in the masterclass. All right, so looking back at that chart of Apple, once again, using conventional wisdom, this is supposed to be very positive, right? And we see that it really isn't. What we wanted to do was find out in advance that it was going to be headed higher. So the first thing we want to do, the first part of the process, is to identify what the market wants to do. Not look for the edge. We have to identify what the market wants to do. Now, right here, there's a scan I'll be telling you about. It actually identified a strong uptrend because this is a very strong uptrend scan. So we knew well in advance, before it made new highs, that it wanted to go higher. So therefore, there was a high probability that it was most likely going to make a new high. Okay, but now remember, this is just one part of the process. We have to also apply structure in the form of a trading plan or a trading strategy. So this is part two, identify structure to apply to that market. So we knew here that there was a strong probability it was going to go much higher, and we applied a method that we'll be teaching you in the course, and there was a buy signal there and another one here you could have taken advantage of well before it made new highs. So which would you rather scan for? The strong market and the buy setups right here, or the new closing high and bought right at the high before it went lower? Now, I want to share with you some examples of a new scan that we developed at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. It's a pullback scan. And this is what we'll be teaching you in the course. So I can't give away the rules and tell you what it is right now. It wouldn't be fair to all of the people that have signed up for the masterclass in scanning. But I will show you some examples. Now, if you're not familiar with what a pullback is a certain way to trade. All right, here's the process and the pullback conditions that are needed. You actually need, if we look at this generic chart here, you need a trend to be established. In this case, it's an uptrend, okay? Now, with most trends, they go up for a while, and then they go into a counter trend. This is where most traders had difficulty because they think, well, that's the end of the trend. I guess we're going lower, and now we're developing and beginning a downtrend. But here's what happens with a pullback. It'll only come down so far before it goes right back up again. So that's why they call it a pullback, because it pulls back to certain requirements or conditions, and then it resumes its upward original trend. So a pullback scan will identify these high probability buy areas for you. So a pullback scan is basically the first part of the process. It's identifying what the market wants to do. Is it going lower or is it pulling back? And what a great edge to have to know that this current sell-off or this current bounce in price is simply a pullback as opposed to the beginning of a brand new trend in the opposite direction. So let's look at some pullback scan examples, okay? All right, here we have a chart of Meta. Now the stock was going straight up, it gapped up strongly, and it starts to go down lower. Most traders would say, hey, well, this is the beginning of a downtrend. It's probably going to come down and fill this gap here. So if I were long, I want to sell it, or maybe I'd even short it. But with our new pullback scan that I'll be teaching you in the class, you would have known that this was a buy area. The scanning process actually generated a buy area here. And had you applied some type of structure, you could have taken advantage of the little bounce that happened after that. This was in February or March. We have another example here in Tesla. Obviously, Tesla's been going lower, but a lot of traders that like to look at institutions and like to look at support and resistance would say, hey, this is major support here. Look at this. We have a double bottom. The program I bought for $10,000 is saying that the institutions are buying, so we've got to buy here, right? Looks like a bottom. Well, if you applied the pullback scan, you would have known that this was actually a pullback scan sell area. So where everyone else thought it was a buying, you knew that the market was telling you it wanted to go lower, and look what happened. All you had to do was apply some structure, which once again we'll be sharing with you in the course, and you could have taken advantage of this. Now, if you missed that scanning sell area right here, well, you had another chance right here on this little bounce, because the scan would have identified this, all this right here, as a pullback scan sell area. Let's look at this example in BBY, okay? Had a nice run up, but we have a doji here, which signals a trend change, and it's starting to come lower, so maybe we want to get out of this, right? Well, the pullback scan identified a buying area, and you could have taken advantage of this nice big run up, okay? This is all something you can do on a nightly basis with the new scanning criteria that we'll be teaching you. Here's an example in AEE. Now, obviously, we have an uptrend here, right? We have a bullish engulfing pattern. We have a reversal pattern. We made a low, then we close up towards the high. So this is very positive. You have to be long, right? Well, if you had scanned that night in AEE, guess what? The scanning process identified a sell area. How can that be? Okay, we have a bullish engulfing pattern, very positive. reversal pattern right here. Well, look what happened in the next week. Remember, the first part of the process of scanning is to find out what the market wants to do. And the pullback scan is a great scan to find that particular environment. Here's an example in Pepsi, PEP. Doesn't look like much is happening here, but you could say there's resistance, so maybe you want to sell. It can't seem to get through this area. But is it really resistance? I don't think so, because the pullback scan identified a buy area right here. You apply a little structure, you could have taken advantage of that, and it's making new highs in the next week. All right, we have a pullback scan buy area right here in CRM, okay? Most traders would say, well, gosh, I don't understand. There's no news coming out. The earnings aren't due out for another couple of months. The market looks terrible, and the jobless claims are supposed to come out tomorrow. Why would I want to buy this? It's because the market is telling you it wants to go higher. Most likely, there's a high probability, just like that generic chart I shared with you, it's going up in an uptrend. This is the pullback, and it's ready to resume its upward course. And look what happened, okay? See how simple this is? The beauty of scanning is that you have to go through that two-step process. You first have to identify what the market wants, and then you can apply the edges, and then you can apply the techniques or criteria you're looking for. Usually, the reason why most traders have difficulty with scanners is because they do the opposite. All right, here was a pullback scanning sell area that was identified in a weekly chart of the same stock, CRM, and the same process occurred, but this time to the downside. So see, it doesn't matter which direction, it doesn't matter what time frame. You can still get these highly identifiable pullback areas through the scan. Now here's a daily chart of Bitcoin, all right, in February, a couple of months ago. Looked like it was selling off strongly, but we've all seen pullback. We've all seen that a pullback has occurred, so we could take advantage of this. And look what happened. Now, Bitcoin is much, much higher now. And it's funny how this identified this way back in early February. Now we can look at a weekly chart of Bitcoin, okay? Same exact process. We have a really strong upward move here. Most people said Bitcoin is dead, but at this point here on a weekly time frame, going back to May of and June and July 2 years ago, right here in this area, it was telling you that most likely this was a pullback. Now remember, you still have to apply structure in the form of a strategy or some type of rule-based method to get in. But this is already half the battle. You know that this is fertile area to get in now. Here's a 4-hour chart of the Australian dollar, just to show you that it can be applied to intraday, different markets. The pullback scan identified a sell area right here on this little bounce where most traders would have thought, well, gosh, we bottomed out here. We have a nice rally going. Look what happened. What happened to the rally? And then lastly, this scan is still out, and it's still calling to see if it's going to work or not, but a pullback scan was identified on a monthly chart. Each one of these bars is a month in the spiders. So going back to roughly about a year ago, it identified a pullback area, and we've jumped up a little bit. Not that much, but we've jumped up a little bit. Are we going to continue to go higher? Well, we don't know. But so far, it looks like it's based a little bit. Now, when you're looking at the daily markets, they don't look as positive as this. But this is the beauty of being able to scan for all these different markets and different time frames. Now, we're going to throw in an extra bonus because as of right now, all I've shown you is the first part of the process, okay? The first part of the process, once again, is to identify what the market wants to do, because no matter how positive an edge you have, no matter how unique of a criteria you're looking for, if you're out of sync with the market you're trading, it probably will not generate some great results. So the first part of the process is what I just shared with you, identifying what the market wants to do. And in this case, we identified a pullback criteria, okay? There are different ways to identify. We have a high probability uptrend and downtrend scan. We have different formats. But now, how about structure? How about the form of a strategy or a trading method that can allow you to get in once you have identified what the market wants to do? Well, here's an extra bonus we're throwing in. This is actually a course in and of itself. It's a brand new method we have called strategy number 2. Now, usually we'll have our own course for strategy number 2. It's going to be its own class, and it's going to be its own way of teaching, but we're going to throw this in as the criteria to fulfill that second part of the process. It's going to be included free within the Advanced Scanning Masterclass. Let me give you a little bit of information about strategy number 2. It's an entirely new method designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. So that's what the criteria we're looking for. Now, it does this by applying a unique filtering process. Now, most trades are designed to last only 5 to 10 trading bars. So because of this, it makes it perfect for option trading. All right, you don't want to be in the trade too long. You don't want to have your profits whittled away because the premiums are going lower. If you're an option trader, you want that big move. You want to be able to get in and out quickly. In the course, I'll be teaching you both aggressive and conservative versions to trade with. It's an extremely consistent method, meaning that it will produce losses from time to time. That's okay, but a consistent method is one that's able to recoup those losses. So that's the beauty of consistency. And most traders are looking for the home run. They want to say, well, I want a method that's going to make me retire in 2 or 3 months. Unfortunately, most of those don't exist, okay? What you want to do is have longevity in trading. You don't want to just have a good month and say, wow, this is great, and then give it all away the next month. I've been there. I know what that's like. That's the way my trading was when I first started. What you want is a method that is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's the true meaning and definition of consistency, because a consistent method will sustain you, not just for a couple of years, maybe more than a decade, maybe a couple of decades. So that's what really is the meaning of success, in my opinion. Now, here's a few examples in that just happened recently. Here's an example in Microsoft, okay? A buy signal was generated right here using strategy number 2. And now we call this our new short-term high method, because we've seen through the research that once a signal is generated, usually within the next 5 to 10 trading bars, all right? If you're looking at 5-minute bars, it'll be 5 to 10 5-minute bars. If you're looking at daily bars, it'll be 5 to 10 daily bars. But it will usually close at a new high, a new short-term high. So we have a signal generated right here, okay? Where was the last short-term high? Well, the last short-term high was right here, okay? So this is where we want to close above. This is why we say it's unique and ideal for option traders, because look what happened in the next 3 days, all right? It closed above. So a great little quick short trade. Now, as the trade progressed, we see here that we had 2 more buy signals generated. Now, if you have a strong uptrend scan, this is perfect to apply. And you could say, well, here's the last high, and look what happened in the next bar, new closing high. So we have found through our research that there's a high probability, not guaranteed, but a high probability that in the next 5 to 10 bars, this will be closing at a new high. Now, this works the opposite as well. Let's say you get a sell signal. Well, if we look back in hindsight, here's the most recent closing low. So all you need to do is close below that. Not a big thing, but look what happened after you got the sell signal. Went up for the next 4 bars. And this is where most students would say, hey, this doesn't work. I want a refund. This stuff doesn't work at all. Well, depending on where you place your stop, and we'll teach you that in the course as well, you may have been stopped out with a small loss, or you may still be in this trade. Remember, you have roughly a great chance to make a new low in the next 5 to 10 bars. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars. Guess what? You're making a new low. Now, you don't have to get out. We'll teach you ways to stay in longer, because look what happened after that, okay? So the original sell signal was right. It just needed a little time to mature, needed a little time to come in to make that new low. But as you can see, this is a great edge to have that you can apply to the scanning process. Lastly, we'll look at a newer chart in Meta right here. Here was a buy signal that was generated just about 3 weeks ago. The last short-term closing high was right here, right? All right, so we want to be able to go above that in the next 5 to 10 bars. So we have 1 bar here, 2, 3, 4, and 5 bars. It's closing and making a new short-term closing high. See how simple that is? Do you think this could help you with options? Now, it goes lower, but 2 more buy signals are generated. All right. So where's the last short-term closing high? Right here. All right. So what we want to do is see how long it takes us. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars later, it's making new highs. And remember, you don't have to exit there. You could hold on longer, and it's still making new highs. This just happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And if you scanned and found the correct environment, you can easily apply this strategy to that market, whatever you're looking for. Do you see how we're taking scanning to the next level? how we're increasing your odds for consistency by applying these new things. All of this is going to be covered in great detail in the masterclass, where we're going to be covering new and advanced ways to scan. Okay, let's go over the course contents. Remember, we're going to be talking about scans that identify the best market sectors to trade, the best markets, the best sectors, anything you want to trade. This covers process number 1. Then we'll talk about scans that identify the best stocks to trade. So we'll cover the whole criteria to look for the best stocks that meet that certain market condition. And then we'll talk about new scanning research. These are new things that we haven't discussed with anyone before. No one has actually seen these things, and they're going to be just privy to the people in the masterclass. We'll cover new scanning techniques. These are just techniques where we have a number of different ways in which to scan, which covers actually numerous scanning combinations to choose from. So these new techniques will fall in the category of combinations. We'll be combining things that we've already talked about that we didn't know had a high level of consistency once you couple them with a scanning process. And then lastly, you're going to get brand new strategy number 2. This is an extra bonus that's included that you can apply. So once you find these scanning environments that the market you're looking at is involved in, then you can apply strategy number 2 to really help you, identify the setups. So this is our Specialist Trading new masterclass where we're covering this topic, advanced scanning. Remember, we only cover these about every 2 years. All right, we've covered entries and exits, money management, but now we're covering something that most traders have difficulty with, and a lot of our students have asked us to talk about. This is advanced scanning process. Now, if you're still not sure, you can visit my website, specialisttrading.com, or Pro Trader Strategies website, where you can see a lot of the past testimonials were students who took our master classes. They helped them tremendously, and these are not just students that have maybe been trading for a short time. We also have a lot of testimonials from traders such as this one right here, who have actually been trading for a very long time, that are skilled and very experienced traders. There's one from a hedge fund trader who was looking at a lot of our techniques in a prior masterclass. Okay, so let's talk about today's attendee discount. I want to thank you all for taking time out of attending today and learning about our masterclass. And let's talk about what we're offering you. Remember, this is our new masterclass. You're going to get detailed instruction in a live class. Now, this live class will be starting shortly, probably within the next few weeks. We'll be going over these advanced scanning techniques that will save you time and will help you filter out these weak trade setups. Taught by yours truly, someone who's been trading the markets for over 46 years. Now you see the next column down there, the PTS educational platform. Everything you've seen today has been displayed coming from our platform. This is the platform that really elevates your trading and teaches you how to trade. And the only way you can get this advanced scanning is by using the PTS Primo educational platform. So here's the great bonus we have included as well. We're going to offer you, included with the masterclass, a full year free of the PTS Primo charting platform, the educational platform you've been searching for to help you with your scanning. So that's also included. So we have all these extra bonuses. And along with that platform, there's also different methods and techniques and things you won't find anywhere else other than on the platform. These are things I've accumulated in my 46 years that you'll only find on our platform and that you won't find on Metastock or TradeStation, because these are things that I took specifically from the trading floor. Okay, so let's go over one last time. Remember, this is our masterclass. We're going to be talking about scanning, and it's going to be an actual live class. Now, the complete masterclass course is going to regularly cost roughly close to $5,000. We're going to discount it for all the people attending today. This is the discount. We're dropping it down 10% to $44.95. Remember, that includes 1 year free of the platform. It also includes strategy number 2. But most importantly, it also includes payment plans. So we know that a lot of students can't come up with $44.95. That's okay. For a small fraction of that amount, you can establish a payment plan with Pro Trader Strategies and just establish a small deposit, and you can still be up and running in the class when it starts very shortly. But this is for a limited time only, and then it will go back to that class fee of $49.95. Take your trading to the next level. Become a member of our new scanning masterclass. I can really tell you that you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to take your scanning to a whole new category. It will really help you, and you can scan for these on a nightly basis or even intraday as well. Okay, here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, which is Pro Trader Strategies. You can either email them at the email address right there, or I would suggest giving them a call at area code 310-598-6677. There's absolutely no obligation. If you call to get a quote or for more information, you won't be pressured into purchasing the masterclass. You can think about it. They'll give you a quote for a some type of deposit or some type of payment plan, and then you can think about it. The only thing I would suggest is don't think about it too long, or the price may go back up to $49.95, okay? This is a great opportunity to take your trading to the next level. Go visit our websites, protraderstrategies.com, specialist trading. Look at the past testimonials, and you'll see that a lot of people have really learned so much from taking our courses, especially the master classes. The master classes are unlike any other because we really go into detail about a specific trading topic. And remember, these are great classes, and we want to keep them at a certain level. So after we get so many people, we're going to close the class, and most likely that'll be the end of the regular live classes, and it'll just be an online video presentation, okay? Now, I promised you I would take any question that you have. So if you have any, please, now is the time. Go to either to the question and answer tab you see in the Zoom column there, or go to the chat box there and type in whatever your question is. I see we have one question here in the question answer. What charting platform are you using for scanning? Well, this obviously was probably written before I announced that. Everything you're seeing is coming from the PTS Primo charting platform. You won't find these scans anywhere else. So I don't want you to think that, well, I can just learn what they are and then go on another platform like TradeStation, NinjaTrader, Thinkorswim, and scan for them. No, you can only scan for these on our platform. The good news is you're getting a full free year of the platform where you'll be able to scan nightly or intraday. And plus, remember, we provide you with all this data. Someone else is asking, well, what can I scan for? We provide you with ETFs, the major ETFs. We provide you with the major indices, NASDAQ, Dow, the S&P 500, S&P 100. We also provide you with different markets. We also provide like for futures, currency pairs, also for Bitcoin. So there's lots of great different markets if you're interested in. I would contact, if you have questions about the data, I would say the best thing to do is to contact Pro Trader Strategies. Remember, there's absolutely no obligation, and they can answer for you, okay? Let's see, next question. When will the class begin? The classes are set in the next couple of weeks, most likely, and usually someone's asking how long are the classes. The classes are roughly anywhere from 1 to 3 hours long, depending on how much information we're going to cover. Sometimes we've had 2 days, but I think we'll be able to cover all this in 1 day. So it may be closer to the 2 or 3 hour mark, okay? We don't want to get it to be a very large class because that takes away the intimacy, and sometimes people are afraid to ask questions with a large class. So we want to keep them at a certain number that we feel comfortable with. So once we get to that number, we're just going to close it, okay? Someone's asking, what if I can't attend? If you can't attend, all the classes are, all our classes are recorded, so you will get a recording of it. Now, if you want to ask a question, but you aren't able to attend the class, each and every one of you will get my personal email address where you can ask me a question whenever you like, okay? So even if you're able to attend, excuse me, freely, or if you can't attend at all, you'll still get access to my personal email where you can contact me whenever you'd like. We can go over different ways to scan, maybe something you're not understanding. And so just so that you feel comfortable learning, okay? Excuse me. Any other questions? These are good questions, okay? Someone's asking how long they are. Once again, yes, their classes are usually, I would say, on average, about 2 hours long. Oh, you're asking when they're going to be. They're going to be usually on Friday. We have it tentatively set up for a Friday afternoon because this way, most traders, if they have it on a Friday, they're able to absorb the information over the weekend and practice over the weekend, and then you can ask me questions the following week or so, okay? But if we have enough people that say, no, you'd rather have it on a weekend, or you'd rather have it on before opening or during the market hours, it's up to you, okay? So you will show how to create these customized scans in PTS. Yes, and they're not very difficult. it's more about the combinations, and it's more about things that you've never seen before. It's really simple, actually, but it's things that we've jumped into that we were really impressed with. And so remember, it's more about the process. It's more about, one, finding out what the market wants to do. Is it pulling back? Is it in a strong uptrend? Is it in a strong downtrend? Is it in a sideways whipsaw market? And then once you identify that through the scanning process, then identifying a specific technique or method in which to jump in, and which to trade, a specific set of rules. So that's the process we're going to be covering. Excuse me. Most processes are the opposite. You say, well, I want to look for a new closing high, or I want to look for a specific candle pattern, okay? And that's why most scanning doesn't work, because you're not in sync with what the market wants to do. You're forgetting about the first part of the process. So this is where we're going to take it to the next level. So we'll be showing you how to create a very simple and very easy, and then we'll also be sharing with you how to trade strategy number 2. Okay, that's also an extra added bonus into this. Strategy number 2, as with all of our methods, usually we have its own course, but we're going to be having this a specific addition to this for you, all included within the scanning masterclass, okay? Because we wanted to give you something as a bonus for joining. Good questions. Any more while you still have me here? Yeah, we talked about how long the classes will be, and yeah, they'll be live, like on the same platform you're having right now via Zoom, but they'll be more intimate. You'll be able to ask me questions more often. We won't just wait till the end of the presentation. You'll be able to, if you've attended any classes before, we have ongoing question and answer, okay? So it's not so formatted and so structured. It's more of an open classroom environment. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I want to thank you so much for attending today. And as you take one last look at our disclaimer, I really think that our new scanning masterclass can really help take your trading to new levels and can really increase your odds for consistency. But you have to take that step. That's why I would suggest watching this video again and then contacting Pro Trader Strategies. Remember, there's no obligation. Give them a call. They would be happy to establish a payment plan, or at least give you a quote so you can think about it. And then after you thought about it, I'm sure you'll really be happy to come on board. So I look forward to all of you becoming new students of mine in the masterclass scanning class, okay? Thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you in the masterclass. Take care. Have a great trading day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.